Here's your recap for what we learned in class on January 25th and 26th. It's all about the moon phases. We talked about learning targets 7 through 10. So we reviewed that the moon does not produce its own light source. It's not a star. The only reason we can see the moon when we do is it's reflecting the light from the sun. We know it takes the moon about a month to orbit or revolve around the Earth. Goes counterclockwise. The word month comes from the word moon. So a month for the moon to go around the Earth one time. We really practice modeling, illustrating, diagramming why we have moon phases. And it all has to do with the angle from Earth that we're viewing the moon as it makes that orbit around us. And we'll look at some diagrams in that. We also really practiced making predictions, and predict is a key word. If you're given a diagram or a calendar, you should be able to figure out time span and predict when another moon phase is going to happen again or when the previous one happened. After our warm-ups, we went through a set of notes and really read through and looked at moon phases. We can do one of the most important pages, I think, here. So as we look at this moon phase diagram, the first thing is find the sun, just like we looked at with seasons diagrams, and perspectives can change. The same thing with moon diagrams. In this diagram, the sun is on the right-hand side. And so your anchor, the thing that we always want you to find after you find the sun, is find the new moon phase. And new moon is going to be your starting out point no matter what diagram you're looking at. New moon is always found in between the Earth and the sun. This diagram is showing two different views of moon phases. The circle on the inside is showing us a view from space. We're up in a spaceship and we're looking down at the Earth, Moon, Sun system. Notice on that interior circle, it shows you that half of the moon and the Earth as well, the half that's facing the sun, in this case on the right side, is lit. Half of the moon is always illuminated. What changes, though, is the moon's position in space. The moon is revolving around us counterclockwise, and so we see a different view, a different angle or perspective. So the out of the circle, the exterior part of the circle, is showing the Earth view of those same lunar positions. So when the moon is in between the Earth and the sun, on Earth, we're looking out at the night side of the moon, the side of the moon that's not getting any light. And so we don't see it. And so on the right side, you can see the Earth view of a new moon. And I kind of teach it as new moon sounds like no moon. We don't see the moon in a new moon phase. After a new moon, the moon is going to orbit counterclockwise. So it's going to go up in this case, and it's going to wax or get bigger. So a waxing moon is increasing in the amount of light we see, and it's increasing, the part that's visible is getting bigger on the right-hand side. So on the right, growing bright. So the moon is going to wax, 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 wax. Halfway through the cycle, it's full. It can't wax anymore. It's as big as it gets. We're 2 weeks into this lunar cycle, or halfway through. Now the moon is going to wane or get smaller, and it will become smaller, and we'll see less and less of it on the left-hand side. So waning. On the left, less and less. So we'll wane, 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 wane until we're back to that new moon phase again. So it's really important you take your time with the moon diagrams. You think about finding the sun, finding the new moon, which is always in between the Earth and the sun, and then go counterclockwise, and you have to learn the names of the phases, and you have to learn them in order. So after new moon, about 3.5 days later, we're waxing crescent. 3.5 days later, first quarter. And then we're waxing gibbous, full. Now we're going to wane or get smaller. Waning gibbous, third or last quarter, waning crescent. So the whole cycle is 4 weeks, and you can split it into fourths, really. It takes about a week to go from new moon to first quarter, about a week to go from first quarter to full, another from full back to third or last quarter, and another week to get back to that new moon phase again. We also looked at updating. We played a game of Kahoot to really practice predictions. If you didn't make it to class, do that asynchronous practice so you can look at those diagrams and really practice thinking about when a moon phase is going to happen again or when it lasted. We updated our learning targets and talked about the learning targets 7 through 10. And so we looked at knowing that the moon doesn't make its own light. Half the moon facing the sun is always illuminated or lit. We talked about the moon taking a month to go around the Earth counterclockwise. We really reviewed why we have moon phases. Remember, shadows don't cause moon phases. Always start with the new moon, which is between the Earth and the sun. And we reviewed vocabulary words: waxing, on the right, going bright; On the left, less and less. And then we also looked at making those predictions of moon phases using a calendar or diagram. So if you remember, the whole cycle is 4 weeks, or it's about 3.5 days between each cycle. We reviewed the flip book that we started. We made a moon phase flip book. You really need to make that and practice. Anytime you have downtime in class, at home, open it up, flip through, say the names of the phases out loud, learn them in order. For independent work, we asked you to go through and look at Plix and really, again, think about saying those names out loud, practicing your moon phases. And then there is a practice moon phases quizzes, all of this stuff to get you ready for next class when we're going to have a learning check over moon phases.